All right. Today we have Taylor for our Atelier talk. It's been a crazy week. How are you holding up?
All things considered, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah. It's definitely good to see you. I wish that you could be in the studio. That would be so cool, but I think Zoom will have to suffice.
Yeah, I want to come see all the new renovations and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're actually capable of recording some live stuff with a lot of mics, so I'd love to have you over.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So I read that you have a new EP. Like it's supposed to be 2020, and so
Yes.
maybe things have been changed or not changed, but could you talk about your new EP a little bit?
Yeah. There'll be 5 songs on it, and they're songs that I've written throughout the past, like, maybe 2, maybe even 3 years now. So, I'm excited to like get these out and see what they look like. I'm working with a producer that is gonna add like some live instrumentation on top of it, and he's like is a successful and Grammy Award winning dude. So I'm very excited to see or to hear what the project is like when it's done, and also to just get these songs like off of my chest. You know what it's like to be just sitting on songs and want to get them out. So I'm very excited. I don't have a set date yet, but sometime in 2020.
Awesome. I'm so excited for you. Yeah, I've literally, like, the moment I've finished recording a song, I've written another one, like, the same
Wow.
night. And so for me, yeah, I definitely feel what you're saying. Um, yeah, it's like you can't have too much in your brain. And so if you haven't like resolved something, then it's just makes it harder to get to your next stage. So I'm excited
Yeah.
for your EP, and then I'm excited for new songs to come.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
Have you been writing lately?
A little bit. I feel like I'm always writing something, whether I'm always coming up with little ideas here and there, like on my voice notes in my phone. I have just hundreds of snippets of things or just ideas of songs. Um, but I think the songs that really stick for me seem to be pretty far and few between.
Hmm.
Um, for some reason, I think
Hmm.
it just kind of takes like it takes a lot for me to put maybe my all into a song or
Hmm.
to like it enough to want to finish it sometimes. Um, yeah, so I'm writing a little bit um, during quarantine, kind of after, not after quarantine, but after all of the craziness of quarantine kind of died down. I did write a song in there that I really liked. So that's one that I'll be implementing into my sets once the world is open again.
Definitely. Does it have a name yet?
I think it's called When Robots Rule the World.
Yes.
Which is like it's like it's a fun and kind of crazy title, but like the song itself isn't very fun.
Oh man. Makes sense though.
Yeah.
There's some conspiracies out there. One in particular by Duncan Trussell that like this whole thing was created by robots just to like fuel the artificial intelligence further. Like for example, right now it's you, me, and Zoom. Like Zoom is the robot that's connecting us. We're not alone, basically.
Oh wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
That's
that
very
was it.
interesting.
Yeah, I told that to Jana. You remember Jana from
Yeah,
yeah, the Atelier session? Yeah, she freaked out. She's like, "Dude, you can't tell me those sorts of things."
that is unsettling. And like I'm on my phone and it's a little tripod, so it kind of just is like this little little
Oh.
dude. He's like standing and everything.
He's like, hey, it looks like it's Nathan, but it's actually me.
Yeah, but that song that I wrote, it's kind of Black Mirror inspired. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
into Black Mirror,
That's
but where
actually
they just
something me
have
and I had talked about after I said that.
really, I
Yeah.
love that series.
Hmm. So go on.
It's
Yeah, the
really
song.
um, it is. It's about the desire to be able to relive your memories as if they were the present moment, like kind
Uh,
of like a VR scenario, or
mm,
in Black Mirror they have those just like things that are in their temples.
yeah.
And so just imagining a scenario where you could just be like right in your memories in every sensory
Wow.
way possible. So it's kind of about the desire for that. And it was inspired by quarantine and just being able to relive your memories and remember like being out. It's also my grandma just passed away, so it was just about being able to feel like she was there again too.
Mm. So you want that technology?
The song is about the desire for that technology. I don't know if I would actually want that, would I? Maybe, probably. But
Yeah.
that's such a powerful technology for the world to be able to have.
Hmm.
There'd be people just like in their houses, just reliving memories all of the
Oh,
time. And
oh,
I can see how that might cause some issues.
definitely. But I do think everyone would try it. It'd be like that drug that everyone tries. At
Yeah.
least one. But it's
Yeah,
super addicting.
exactly.
Yeah. It's tricky though, because it does take you out of the present moment.
Hmm.
And I feel like there's
So,
kind of like a pretty hyper critical balance that we all have to have about like, processing the past and thinking about what we're going to do in the future, but then ultimately like, hey, we're here. Like I think something like sometimes like people with pain, right? Or like thinking about past trauma, they just like they have like a wristband that they'll like snap and it basically brings them to the moment because it's just this little shock of like, hey, you're
ah,
alive, you're here. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So it's called When Robots Rule the World because it's kind of like if we had that, a day where we have that technology is
Mm,
what I imagine. Like robots would be ruling the world.
I think we're close.
Yeah, we got Yumi and Zoom here.
uh, yeah, I mean, people used to like use pictures as memories, right? And then they're like, well, we need the actual video. We need to like see the motion. Oh, and it was black and white, right? So it was like, okay, but then it was like, no, we need color, like to really take us there. Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
it's going in that direction.
You know how there's you go to Universal Studios and they have 3D, but then they have 4D, and
4D.
you have like you go like I don't know down a waterfall or something, and you feel actual water on you,
Yeah,
kind of like that.
I
I love those
remember.
rides.
Yeah, there was like it was really old one, but when I was young, there was like a Honey I Shrunk the Audience there.
I remember that.
And they had like mice, right? And then they had these little things under your feet that would like tickle your ear.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
I remember that. It was very unsettling.
Right? And that was like
Yeah,
10 years ago at least, maybe 15. So there's probably been a lot of advancement. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean VR. Crazy.
crazy
Cool.
times.
So are you you're from Michigan originally?
Yes, I'm from Lansing, Michigan.
Wow.
I moved here the very beginning of 2018.
Hmm. That's pretty recent. And you were just back in Michigan a little while ago, right?
Yeah, I was there for Mother's Day,
Hmm.
and then I just got back a few days ago. So it was like 3 weeks or so.
So you were on a plane then? A
I
couple?
was on a plane, a few planes.
All right. Well, you've heard it from us first. Taylor has been on a plane during the pandemic. That's wild. Tell us about this experience.
It really wasn't too different, except for the planes aren't as full. Um, and I was only on one flight on the way there from Detroit to Lansing. They made you wear a face mask.
Hmm.
So that was one thing. They also give you the snacks in like a little plastic bag. There's like a water, there's a napkin, there's hand sanitizer, and like one or two snacks in the little bag that they give you. So that's kind of nice. I kind of prefer that.
Yeah.
And then they loaded all the planes from back to front, which just makes sense anyways. But those were the only real differences.
Were there people sitting next to you?
On the way there, nobody sat next to me. And then on the way back, there was one person, like, there was a space between us and then a
Hmm.
person.
Were there rules like about that, or it just people were like being
I
considerate?
think that the flight, the airline people, they all spaced us out strategically so that probably so that we wouldn't have to sit next to anyone.
Hmm.
But there weren't any special rules that we really had to follow, though.
I'm wondering if they're allowed to like book the whole flight, or if they have to have like, one per or two
Yeah,
people per row or something.
yeah, I was wondering about that too, but I'm not sure.
Hmm. What airline was it?
It was Delta.
Cool. Yeah, I know like a lot of airlines have or like some are, yeah, might go bankrupt during this time and stuff. It's wild
That
because
is
the
crazy.
planes are on the ground.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, how did you how have you been coping with the pandemic?
Um, the pandemic has been kind of great. Like obviously it's awful what is happening, but
Yeah.
it's just been nice to just have to stay inside, like surrounded by my instruments
Mm.
and my microphone and my guitar. Kind of like when your parent grounds you and you have to go to your room with your phone and your electronics. Like it's not really a grounding.
Games all night.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's kind of what it's felt like
Mm.
for me.
Yeah, the world grounded people. It's so funny.
Yeah. I'm pretty I don't know, pretty independent and I like my alone time especially. So it hasn't been too bad at all.
Yeah, you were playing a lot of live shows. Have you been able to continue playing for people in some capacity, or yeah, how do you cope with that?
I did do one of those live concerts on like Facebook and Instagram,
Mm.
and I have um, kind of like a nice little community of fans in the greater Lansing, Michigan area.
Yes.
So it was really nice to be able to like do a little something and see their comments and
Mm.
all their positive feedback and everything. So that is the one kind of just that one concert that I've done. Oh,
Mm.
and I featured on my friend does a Instagram live. Jameson Tabor, he's a really dope singer and songwriter, and so I featured on his weekly Instagram live concert.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna come see you at Republic of Pie when we get back in, get back into the shows for sure. So maybe we can talk about your songwriting process a little bit.
yeah, my songwriting process. It's very like I think it took a while to me to for me to understand that there were other ways that people wrote songs aside from just like how I've always written songs.
Yeah.
And so I'm slowly getting to know myself as a songwriter and how I
Mm,
differ from others people.
mm,
And I think it's pretty different. um, I always write with my guitar,
mm,
like it's like in my hands, and I have a notebook and I just write down, um, whatever is coming to mind. But often it'll be um, chords that are inspiring to me first. So I'll just be playing on the guitar, playing something, and then I'll come across a chord that I really like, and then I'll find some other chords that go with it,
mm.
and then I'll just kind of play that combination of chords for a while because I like them and because I feel something from them,
Yeah.
and then eventually the right phrase will come out,
Mm.
and um, then it's just like constantly building off of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think sounds pretty normal actually, I think. But I always have to have like the guitar. I write with
Mm,
the guitar on the
mm.
guitar. And so it's different to try and write something like in the session.
Yeah.
Whenever I try to do that, I always just end up picking the guitar back up, and it's just so much easier to hear exactly what I want to hear when I can just like use my fingers and play the chords instead of like being on the computer and finding where I want it to be.
Mm,
So the guitar is very central to my songwriting.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, there are quite a few different processes. It's wild. It's wild. But that makes sense to me. It does seem like the two like major differences are people that can like write words without music, and then the people that are like the words are coming from what kind of the place that music takes you to.
Yeah, yeah. I think often that what is it? If I get words, it'll come with a melody, or it'll come with some kind of phrasing. Like
Yeah.
they just everything goes pretty hand in hand and
Yeah.
comes together simultaneously for me.
Yeah.
And I don't really do drafts. I just like write every line meticulously, and it's how it is most of the time.
Wait, explain that a little more.
Um, like it's rare that I end up rewriting anything. Like
Mm,
when I write it, that's what I meant. I said it exactly how I wanted it to. I thought a lot about it, and
mm.
like that's what it is. And it's rare that that'll change unless my feelings actually change.
Yeah, so like I feel like this is the perfect example of like you going into like a producer and they're like, "Well, let's just like take this word out or like like a label," and they're like, "Yeah, well, let's just like flip all this around. We'll like take the chorus and like make it let's repeat the chorus 4 times." You're just like, "No."
That sounds heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Ruining the whole song.
Mm, yeah.
But that's how I am with my music.
Mm,
But I also do enjoy just writing
mm.
to write because it's fun and just because it feels good to write. So it's also nice to have other projects that don't have to be so precious.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that it really frees you up when you're doing the work that you can like start from the beginning and see it all the way to the end, like see your vision through. And I feel like every human like needs to do that in some capacity. Like you have to have an idea. I mean, we all get ideas, but like when you get that idea, you gotta like see it through, right? With like almost like no other voices, like no other influence. You gotta just see your own vision all the way through. And then it's so peaceful to like kind of know who you are in that way. And then once
Yeah,
you've done that, you're like, all right, cool. I'm ready to help anybody with theirs.
yeah, yeah. There's one song that I wrote a couple years ago where I started writing and I didn't really understand what I was writing about, but I knew like what the feeling was.
Mm,
I knew like the right things to say. And
mm.
so I got done with the song and I was like, oh. It's like, oh, that's what it's so obvious what the song is about. Like, I
Wow.
can't believe that I wrote that. Like, how did that happen? How did that all come together like that? And then there's kind of a different perspective looking at it, you know, from a bit of a distance rather than as opposed to looking at it in the process.
What's the name of that song?
That was Hiding Place, which
Mm.
you have heard kind of a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But it's I think that that process is also pretty relevant to the topic of the song because when I was done with it, I was like, that song is just like straight up social anxiety all
Mm.
the way around.
Yep.
And so I looked at it and I was like, oh, need to relax.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of songwriters that experience that, me included. You get surprised after you write a song.
Yeah,
Like the song, like it like unlocks something that's in your brain or in your body even that you couldn't have got to without about like going through the process of playing music and writing the song.
yeah,
And then you
for
like
sure.
know something about yourself and you're like, all right, I need, like you said, like I need to chill.
Right. Yeah. It teaches you.
Yeah, that was the first thing actually I ever wrote. It was like I didn't know what it was about. It was a song called Relief. And then in the chorus, like it was pretty general, but then the verses started coming out and it was clearly just like how addicted I was to things that were not good for me. And then after I was like, well, I need to stop doing this, like these other things. And then with some help from friends, I stopped. And then after that, it was like songwriting literally just like healed me. Like it showed me the flaw that I was unaware of in myself. And then once I
Yeah.
knew that, I could change. Yeah. So now it's just been like,
It's kind of like,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like looking or like really listening to the lyrics of artists who were like very troubled or depressed and like died of drug addictions. And sometimes you look back at their lyrics and you're like, damn,
Yeah.
it was kind of right there.
Mac Miller comes to mind.
Yeah,
Like that's a fresh one, a recent one. It's just throughout everything, right? Almost every song, it comes up. Yeah, yeah. Did you listen to Mac Miller much?
I didn't really. Um, of course, when he passed, it was I listened to it like I guess a little bit guilty of that, but you want to go and see like who they were and what they were talking about.
Mm,
So after he passed, I listened to him a little bit. I wasn't like a diehard Mac fan or anything.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty wild. Who are some of your influences?
John Mayer is a really big influence. He's my favorite artist, probably my favorite songwriter as
Mm,
well.
mm.
I remember the first time that I came to Republic of Pie and the Ateliers were playing, and you were like giving away CDs based on trivia. And one of them was a John Mayer question, and I was like, oh, they're cool. They're in. They're dope.
Yeah.
Um,
Oof.
but John has been my favorite since I was like 8. Um, he inspired me to want to play the guitar. Him and Avril Lavigne,
Oh
really. She
yeah.
was like punk rock goth princess chick, and I thought that was super cool. Like I wanted to be punk rock. I wanted to play the electric guitar originally and like rock out,
Yeah.
but I kind of went the total opposite way.
Mm.
Um, but I love John Mayer's songwriting a lot. I look back at his lyrics and stuff that I was listening to when I was younger, and I just liked the sound of it and I liked his voice. But I look at the lyrics and I'm like, wow, that's just a really good song.
Mm.
The the story and the everything about it all ties together really well.
Yeah, I think we feel that too. Even if we're too young to understand it, I think we feel the words and it's all tied together, especially with these good songwriters. Like the music is actually expressing the words too. Yeah. Have you seen him perform?
Yeah, I've seen him like probably 6 or 7 times now,
Yeah.
and he's amazing every time. He's just so natural. I'm just kind of obsessed, honestly.
Yeah. He plays other instruments too. It's cool. Like he's been focused enough on the guitar. But then I think he did a bunch of drums on this most recent album.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't
and I
know
know
that.
he plays piano live.
I saw him do one piano song,
Hmm.
which I thought was so, so cool. I
Yeah.
want to learn piano. Not just because of John, but just to be able to have another tool and to be as fluent in
Yeah.
piano as I am at guitar would just like, I feel like that would unlock a lot of
Hmm.
creative possibility.
Let's jam. I got you.
Do you
Yeah.
give lessons?
Yeah, for sure. I was just playing around with Zoom lessons with a gal earlier, and you can totally flip the screen and in Logic, right? You can bring up like a piano and you could do it online too, but you should come in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hmm. Whoa, I got an idea. All right. I love this thing so much.
So calming.
Yeah, I feel like we're like addicted to distractions and noise because sometimes it helps us like not deal with problems. And this thing, I don't know, it always just like, dude, it like reminds me of the noise. It's like,
It's
don't
like
worry about that.
it's music and it's like purest form. Just a note ringing out.
Hmm. I do see a bass back there. So have you kind of experimented with other instruments yourself?
Yeah. The bass over there. I have a ukulele
Mm,
over there. Um, I just think the bass is so cool, and I think there's so much that you can do. Like you can just completely change the mood of a song with the bass, which
mm,
is just fascinating to me.
mm.
And um, to understand the theory behind it and know when you're playing like the five or the four or the six or whatever,
Yeah.
um, it's just it's just one note, but it controls so much. So I want to be good at all of the instruments, man. I want to be great at all of
Do it. I'm
them.
giving you permission. It, it it's valuable. You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy though how society's trained to, and I get it. Like I do think just like John Mayer, right? It's like really focused. Like, and you could ask anyone and be like, John Mayer plays the guitar. Like that's who he is. But then like truthfully, you see he's a singer. Like he's a great singer too, and he's a great songwriter. And now like you start to see that he's just in love with the whole process. He's playing piano, he's playing drums. And I've experienced like as much as you like doing one thing, like going to other things, it'll bring you back. if that one thing is truly like something that you love, it'll just bring you back. So anyways, I just,
Yeah.
yeah, go for it. Do it.
It kind of feels like a hobby a little bit. And so it's nice to just be able to switch and do something else. Even though it's very similar, it's just I've
Mhm.
been playing guitar for 15 years now, and so I'm very
Wow.
familiar with it. And so to switch over to the bass, like the strings, like it has one lower string and then you're missing
Yeah.
the top string kind of.
Yep.
And it's just a nice hobby that's very relevant still.
Mm. Yeah, I see. Ah, so it's like a progression to maybe other instruments that are further away from guitar.
Maybe. I like drums too. I want to be good at drums. Drums are crazy. It's just a completely different. It's not it's I almost said it's not even an instrument. It's definitely an instrument, but it's just like a completely different thing. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's so weird. When I play drums, like I'm not in my head at all. It's just completely restful. Whereas when I'm playing piano or guitar, like I'm really enjoying it, but sometimes I'm thinking a lot about like what you said, like going to the four or going to the five. Whereas drums, I'm just hitting stuff and hoping it lands
Yeah,
in the right places.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like to be able to do like two or three beats at once with different limbs is just incredible. And then to be able to like understand the drums enough to be able to improvise and make things sound exactly how you want them to is amazing.
Well, we do have the stuff set up in here now. I know before we didn't, but we've got some stuff set up. So
You have a drum set in there?
yeah, we set it up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's for you to use.
Wow. Be careful.
No, I miss people, you know. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at. Like I've I've just been playing in here quite a lot, and as fun as it is, and um, as restful and adventurous as it is, there's something about having the presence of other people that it's just different and it's needed. And so yeah, come by, we'll jam.
Yeah, I will. I will. I miss meeting new people. I
Yeah.
think there's like something cool and not cool, something like you meet a new person, you can just be like exactly just who you are right then.
Mm,
You can, I don't know, kind of like reinvent yourself a
yeah.
little bit or just act however you, I don't know, it's just a different experience that I that I kind of miss.
The idea of like making fast friends is one of my favorite ideas. Like the idea that like if you feel like you've known them your whole life,
Yeah,
that you get like that's one of my favorite things to experience. And I haven't got to meet anyone new in like so long.
yeah. What
Coronavirus.
is the date? Do we
Can't
have
you?
when is the ban lifted?
I mean, churches have started like last week. Like they're allowed to like open. They can't like sing and do some very important things. Um,
They can't sing?
that's part of it. That's part of the regulation.
Wow, that's
I know.
crazy.
I know. I took it as like a personal stab at first, and then I thought about it, and it was like, oh well, there's like legitimately, spit, like I guess
Yeah, I guess.
coming from your mouth, and I was like, oh okay, but I was mad. But yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. I feel like this week, yeah, this week has kind of like for the first time I saw a sign on the freeway that didn't say like, you know, stay
Stay home.
inside, stay home, right? COVID-19. It said drive sober, right? Like what it used to say. And I was like, whoa. And I can't help but think that um the civil rights things going on right now, yeah, all of the peaceful protests and the rioting and these things that are happening, um, like it changed the situation. People just started assembling. Like they're not even thinking about it. They're shoulder to shoulder. I mean, a lot of them have face masks on, right? But like people started challenging, I guess, some of the things that people were saying about the pandemic. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I was at a protest yesterday in Hollywood, and I think most people had masks. I had a mask too, even though it was super hot. But yeah, I just don't really think about it too much. Honestly, even like earlier, I I still wore a mask and stuff when I had to, but I think it was just more so that other people wouldn't like judge me for not wearing one.
Completely. Yeah, I tried to go into a grocery store in Pasadena without a mask, and they actually had masks inside. Like they gave me one. I thought he was gonna
Oh,
yell at
wow.
me. He was like, "Hey, bro," and I was like, and he gave me a mask, and I was like, "Ah." But I was pretty much by myself for 2 months. But I just,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, with Sam. I mean, Sam's been here,
Mhm.
so that's been cool. But that's kind of how I dealt with it instead of going out and having a mask on all the time. I mean, I
Yeah.
got food, but
I have roommates, so it was never like
oh,
there were still humans around, very close around.
mm. And
And
then,
I kind of got to know them better just from spending more time always here.
yeah, were they going out as well, or were you guys kind of like cohabitating together?
I have three roommates, and
Mhm.
two of them were like essential workers at
Ah,
stores, and so they were kind of the same as normal.
got
But
it.
the other one is in like event planning, bartending, and stuff.
Mhm.
So he obviously couldn't work.
Yeah. So were you wearing a mask like in your kitchen then?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. In theory, I guess I should have been, but no, not in my own household.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, that seems pretty extreme, but it's hard. It's kind of hard, like things that I don't think anyone really thought about before. Yeah. Like we could have never imagined that we couldn't just go to a coffee shop and get some coffee and bump into someone.
Yeah, crazy. 2020, crazy.
Yeah, definitely. How did you get into songwriting?
I always wanted to be an artist, and when I was when I was 13 is when I started doing performances like in my community. My mom was my manager and my agent, and she just did such a kick-ass job and got me so many gigs. And at one of them, I met, or rather, kind of, she met the sound guy and was talking to him, and he was saying how he was an artist and a songwriter, and I think he might have offered songwriting lessons or something like that. Somehow they got on the topic of
Mm,
songwriting.
mm,
And so this dude was like, ended up being super cool, and he became my like songwriting mentor. Like every, I think it was Mondays after school in high school, I would just go over to his place. My mom would drop me off, and then we would just like write songs, or he would. But honestly, most probably half of the time was us just like messing around, him showing me cool videos and just
Mm-hmm.
laughing and being dumb. And so I think it's safe to say that he kind of inspired my love for songwriting.
Mm.
And we made my very first EP in 2012. Um, he we kind of wrote some of the songs together, and then my mom actually wrote some lyrics.
Mm.
She would just write down things,
Mm.
and then it was really easy for me to just put music and chords and a melody to them.
Mm.
And so those were my first songs, were just putting music to my mom's words. And
Wow.
then um, at some point, I think it was just from being around it and from bringing um, my attention to it, that eventually I wrote my first song by myself. It was called Right Here.
Uh,
And that was like my first song that I was just super proud of. I still
mhm.
am.
Yeah. Is that the one that got featured?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the one that my local library at the time, they picked up for their advertising campaign,
Yeah.
because the song was like, I've got everything right here. And so the library was like, we have all of these resources right here. It was perfect. They
Oh,
put me in a parade. They
wow.
had like trucks with my lyrics on the side of them. It
Yes.
was so cool. It was very cool.
Yeah. So now you've moved to LA. It's a full send. And let's talk about the music industry a little bit, or what you've experienced
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
My first trips to LA were for the ASCAP Expo
Mm.
at on like Hollywood and Highland. They just have a conference there for songwriters and composers. And so before I moved here, I came out here for that. And that was just a really eye opening experience,
Mm.
because I'd never really heard of a songwriter just being a songwriter and that being their whole profession.
Mm.
And I was kind of amazed that I'd never even heard of these people before.
Mm.
Um, and the speakers and the panels were, I found they were very even though it's a music industry, like these people still had souls.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all just like business and money and this and that. It was still like, I was kind of amazed that a lot of people still had just like the soul and the love for music, and that
Mm.
is what drove them.
Mm.
That was really inspiring to see and to hear. Um, what else? What were we even talking about?
Just your
Um,
experience of the music
mm,
industry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, how about since then? Because now you've moved here, and um, yeah. So what has it been like since you've gotten to LA?
I've just met a lot of people through doing shows and just going to open mics and meeting people. I just kind of redid what I had been doing in Michigan, just like starting all over again. But now I have like more experience and more confidence, and I've honed my skills a little bit more. And so that's what I'm doing out here now.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah,
you're really good at the community aspect of it, just like networking and bringing people into your songs, the
yeah,
meanings behind them.
yeah. I
The
think
whole
that's
like, yeah, go
just
on.
talking, just talking to people and getting to know them and seeing like how you can help them, like what can you do for them will like do so much for your relationship. Just
Mm,
like trying to have a mindset of like, what can I do for you? If you like what they're doing and if you like them as a person, it's just a great and it's genuine. It's a genuine way to
mm,
um hone your relationships. Just like you would do with a friend, like how can I help you?
mm. Yeah, so kind of finding people that use music as an outlet or um yeah, just that are looking for new music and new songwriters. Um,
Yeah, that and like I sing and I play guitar and I can write. So like if I meet a artist and I really like their voice,
mm,
I can always offer my guitar playing services. Like if they have a gig somewhere, like, yo, do you need a guitar player?
yeah.
Like now I have like a friend or just somebody that I just met that I've helped and that I like what they're doing, and now we have a relationship, and
Mm,
it's like a genuine one.
yeah, that reminds me of your song. Is it called What's Bothering You?
Yeah,
Yeah, which you actually recorded yourself, right?
yeah, I did, and that was one that I um, wrote mostly in the Logic session.
Mm,
It was like really, it wasn't super personal. Like
mm,
I didn't really have a strong drive behind the song. I just really liked the music, and so I was like, oh, I could throw some words on there and make a whole actual song out of it. But the lyrics do like all flow together,
yeah.
and they make up a message that you can't tell is ingenuine.
Yeah, definitely. And so how did you get into recording?
How did I get into recording? I think just the knowledge that it was so easy to have your own setup and like relatively cheap. Um, oh, you know what? I always liked, have you heard of the application Audacity?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a website. That was like the very first thing that
Mm,
I used. I didn't realize that I was like kind of producing. I would just go in there. Maybe I was like 12 or 13 and I would record just like an acapella of me singing something. And
yeah.
then I would like add another harmony and then I'd add another harmony and then I do some like random ad libs. Um, I think it'd be really funny and kind of cringy to go back and listen to those now. Um, but that's what I first started doing just because it was fun.
Mm,
It was cool to be able to hear my voice layered. I think that's what was really,
yep.
really cool to me
Mm,
is to be able to harmonize with myself and just use my voice as an instrument that way. Um, and then it was a couple years, probably a good couple years later, when I bought a microphone and I bought an interface and I recorded my EP Closer.
mm. Yeah, that's really cool. Do you have kind of like, are you wanting to become a producer for other artists someday? Or is it even the goal for you to produce and record your albums in the future? Or is that something that you just did because that was the opportunity in front of you?
I think it is something that I want to do for other artists, just because I like so many different kinds of music.
Mm,
And I've also learned that when um, and just through, I guess, through collaborating with other peers, I have a very specific way that I want things to sound.
yep,
And so, even for that reason, I find it kind of difficult to collaborate because I'm like, but I want to do it this way.
exactly.
um, so I think that would that's what a producer kind of does. Like, of course, you have to work with the artist, and the artist always has the final say.
Yeah.
But um, that's something that I am really interested in doing. it's fun and it's another source of revenue within the music
Yes.
industry.
Yeah. And then I'm kind of wondering if you have, like, what are your, mm, do you have specific goals with your own music? Like maybe you want to play at a certain place, or maybe you'd like to be platinum, right? Like, is there some sort of goal that kind of keeps you driving towards your own songwriting and making albums consistently?
Yeah. I would like to be signed to a label someday, but I'd like to have enough momentum to be able to negotiate terms that are beneficial to me
Mm,
as an artist.
yep.
And so I think right now that just comes with continuing to make music and continuing to perform and collaborate with other artists in order to, get some traction and, um, from an industry standpoint, get the numbers to be able to get that attention and be able to make my own calls.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I also love songwriting. I'd love to songwrite for other artists as well.
Mm. Well, I look forward to your upcoming EP very much.
Yeah, me too. That would be nice to just get them out. Some of them feel kind of old now, but they'll be brand new to just about everybody else. So I have to keep that in mind when I'm recording too.
Mm,
You
definitely.
have to kind of like go back and like summon certain emotions.
Exactly. Yeah, but the recording, I feel like the recording is still new. And that's something that we can kind of celebrate is that it's, even if we're using like a new compressor or like a different guitar, right? Or just like, um, yeah, that kind of helps me because I've been working on some songs that I wrote over 2 years ago, if not like three. And I just didn't have the mental like capacity to record them at the time or the equipment, right? Or whatever, the platform. And um yeah, a big part of it, I think, like we said, like getting back into that emotional state, but that can be hard. Like I feel like it's hard for me to go back and try and imagine who I was 2 years ago. So I try
Oh
and
yeah,
like bring myself to the situation. And then there's also a reason why like these songs that I wrote 2 years ago lasted and why the other, right, 10 didn't. It's because there's still something in this song that I feel like is timeless. Or I hope it is, right?
yeah, yeah. That makes sense for sure. Like there's songs off of my old EPs that I never play, and then there's certain ones that go into just about every set.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fun. It's so nice to have you on the talk and just
Same
so
here.
thankful for who you are and your amazing music and everyone please go check out Taylor. Where can we find your music?
TaylorMusic.com is my website. It's also available on all streaming platforms. And my Instagram is Taylor, Taylor, the number two music.
Beautiful. Well, I hope they have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, you too.
Later.